Welcome back to Crystal Clear Coaching with your host, Crystal Tottenham. And if you're thinking my energy is a little weird today, you'd be right. What I want to talk about today is our shame. Like your shame, my shame, and how it holds us back. How we make it mean so much. How we hide it in secret. And how that is how it has power over us. Like, this is gonna be a confronting topic, so please, with curiosity, choose to lean into it if you want to stay for this video. I hope you do, because you can learn lots and let go of a lot if you're willing to look at it. And again, with curiosity, don't make it mean anything at this point. I want you to take a deep breath in through your nose and sigh it out longer than you inhale. And just think as your breathing resumes normal. Whether you've shared this with anyone ever or not. Maybe you share it frequently, but it's there's still facets of it that you haven't shared. What do you consider to be one of your biggest shames? Maybe you've got multiple. Again, we are looking with curiosity. Just notice that. Where does that shame stem from? What younger part of you created that? Was it through a parental figure, a brother, a sister, some kind of guardian, a teacher, a so-called friend, a school bully? Was there a person associated or people associated with this shame? Was there an environment, a place that holds the shame for you? Maybe you still have to go past that place or to that place frequently, or you do on occasion and you just feel the same feelings come up. I just want you to, again, keep the curiosity there. If you need to separate yourself from it and just view it like you are the all-seeing eye, you're not embodied with yourself right now, please do that. Just zoom out so that you can see it from a wider perspective. Especially actually seeing it from this wider perspective, can you notice how holding on to the shame might be serving you? We hold on to shame to prove to those around us, whether they care or not, attempt to fit in, to stay in love and belonging with a crowd around us. And a lot of our shame stems from a lot of our hidden shame. And honestly, I believe shame is a hidden thing. Until it's not, you know? Um, it can run the show of how our internal system is operating. And that's not okay. It can hold us back from what we truly want in this world. And this is why I commend you for being brave enough to look at it with curiosity at the very least. Now, you might still have a perception that this thing that feels so shameful is truly still shameful and you cannot share it. You cannot ever get it out there. And and even if you manage to do it without telling anyone else that you're doing it, or if you've never shared it with anyone, I just want you to, incognito mode if you need to, do a little search to see, if you zoom out from that meta standpoint, is it true that everyone, maybe not everyone, but majority of people would see this thing as shameful and would make it mean that you are not worthy of going after your dreams? And notice if you think that's true. Just remind you to zoom out. If that is true, then what like, just again, with curiosity and dissociating yourself from it if you need to, what would happen if you spoke light to the shame, like you shared this shame with a trusted, safe individual? What could happen? Look, and sometimes you might share something and think it's with a trusted individual only to find out that they shame you right back. But I want you, if you do choose to share this, I want you to come from a place of understanding you did what you could with the tools you had at the time that you had those moments of shame. And look, I honestly think majority of the time, whatever it is, it's probably not that shameful. Part of me doesn't really want to believe in shame at all, but there are, some individuals in this world, running the world, that I do believe should feel shame for their actions and don't seem to. And that's a continued character action. Like, they are continually choosing shameful acts and being completely unashamed for them. And if those a-holes can do that, like, how dare you, beautiful human being that wants to work on themselves and do better in the world and do good things in the world, how dare you discount yourself because of a small shame that you made to mean something, maybe when you were a kid? I just want you to consider what might have happened if the thing happened and you chose a different meaning in that moment that didn't make you feel ashamed. How might that version of yourself then played out into the world? How would you have shown up? Maybe with more confidence, or just unabashed, just a bit more audacious to go for what you want? How might that have impacted your life to not carry shame around that? And look, I'm not trying to go back and redo the past. We can't do that. I just want you to consider what would your life look like without that shame? And, do focus on one key moment for you, or one key shameful area for you. And just consider, so yes, we can't go back and change the past and how the shame may have shaped you since its initiation. But could you choose to notice consciously when the shame comes up for you, when you feel triggered by something that feels not aligned, connected to the shame, and could you choose to see that shame come up and speak light to it anyway? Share it with a trusted individual if you feel brave enough. If you don't, that's fine. What if you just chose to feel your cheeks blush and just still boldly go towards the action of what you want that the shame usually would block you from? Still take those small steps that usually the shame would block you from. And honestly, I really do encourage you to find a safe, trusted person to talk to open up about the shame. Maybe it's a therapist that you need to talk to, that is a tried and true safe place. Maybe it's a coach. Maybe it's a good friend. Maybe it's, one of your family members. Whoever it is for you, just trust that like you've had, ideally, if you can pick someone who's a beautifully non-judgmental person and you know that about them, and like honestly, you still need to be prepared that their reaction, that they might think something shameful. I don't know what it is. But on the most part, I have an inkling that whatever you think is that shameful that you've made all this meaning about is not nearly as shameful, or maybe even shameful at all, as you think it is, And you're letting it hold you back? Friend, can you stop letting it hold you back, please? This world needs your light. It needs your magic, your creativity. It needs you audacious for what lights you up and gets you enthusiastic. So if you notice your shame and you don't want to be ruled by it anymore, how can you find ways to let go of it? Speak with those trusted people. Let it out. Maybe you're something, you just want to write it. You want write a letter to your shame. Write a you know write a letter to who shamed you. Whatever you feel called to do, because there's got to be a way to release it. And if you're not ready to say it to an actual human being, there are other ways. But also, if you are brave enough to have that courage to share it, the more you share it, the less power it has. Brene Brown has done a ton of beautiful work on shame and vulnerability, and her books help me really understand this concept. So highly recommend reading or listening to them. She, yeah, what a legend! What a legend! I yeah, I just think a lot of the people in this world that are unashamed are the ones that should feel shame. And yes, I use that word should, which I don't like to use. But there's so many more people in the world that feel shamed for reasons that just aren't worth their time. I don't want that for you. I want to see your light. I want you to boldly, unapologetically go for what you want in life and build the beautiful things you want for the world. So, yeah. And I will just end this in saying, I just want to celebrate you for being willing to lean into this hard conversation if you made it to this point in the video, because most people will run a million miles from anything they feel is to do with their shame. But even if you haven't really applied it to yourself by the end of this video, you've at least had a moment to think about shame even if it's from a meta perspective, nothing to do with relating it to yourself. You've lent in enough. And those that fully lent in, good work. If you do share your shame with a trusted individual and you want to continue to share that shame and you're starting to feel more bold, feel free to share in the comments how it went for you. Or reach out via DMs and see what maybe you had felt so ashamed about, only to share it with a trusted friend and have them say, girl, I do that like all the time. And they do it with like zero shame and they're totally cool about it. And you just realize, that's actually not a big deal. Like, that's what I want for you, to not have the shame run you anymore. So, I hope that you get some form of that out of this. But also, like, even if somebody you share it with and they almost shame you back for it, well, it's like, stand up for yourself in that moment. Like, unless you've done something like heinous, which is, a crime that needs you to show up for your own consequences, which I doubt this is your shame. If this is the kind of space you're showing up in, chances are it's not that shameful. And I'll use an example. Someone I know, who was known as a nutrition and like body coach, developed bulimia. And it was her biggest shame and secret for a while, and she finally had the courage to tell her partner about it, and she got shamed right back. She got shamed. Like, what do you mean? You're this person, you spout all this stuff about health and wellness, and meanwhile you're bulimic? And I'm so stoked for this person that I know that her inner voice came up and said, this is something I'm struggling with. I wasn't trying to go against my wishes. And she believed in herself in that moment and said, no, screw that. I'm not gonna sit here and let you shame me for something that I'm desperately trying to use to cope with whatever was going on in her life at the time. No, I'm gonna stand up for myself and say, I'm trying to ask for help here and I'm getting shamed back, and actually I deserve better than that. So I share that story because you're not always going to get, even if you think someone might be a safe space in a non-judgmental space, like, I just want you to be prepared to be your biggest cheerleader, that your shame doesn't need to be a shame. Like, it's great to go for the external validation of sharing your shame with someone else for them to tell you, oh, that's no big deal. But it might not be the way things go. So I'm just being truthful here. But as long as you are able to stand up for yourself and choose to not feel that shame, you can do anything you want, because then you're taking your power back. You're not letting that shame control you anymore. Alright, well, I hope it goes well for you. Again, reach out if you want to share anything. Much love, and you don't need to be ashamed, my friend.